This is At Face Value.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Here we go again. Episode 18 of At Face Value. I'm Brian.
And I'm Lucas.
And we're so excited to have you back for another week. I just want to start off and apologize. Number one, we appreciate Will coming on the podcast last week, but also like the technical difficulties. I honestly cannot explain what's been going on. We do tests before we start every show, and it works perfectly. And then for whatever reason, Lucas's mic cut out last week. So if you heard a lot of blank space and then Will and I responding to what it sounded like nothing, that was just because we kind of struggled. So Lucas was definitely part of the show. He wasn't just mouthing words, playing mime last week.
Yeah, man, Will was an awesome guest, dude. I think what happened was I was kind of pissed off about the game, and I shook the mic a few times before we started just to get all my frustrations out. And so that's probably what did it, if I'm being honest. But no, Will was a great guest. We'll have to have him on soon again.
Absolutely.
I mean, this would have been a good week to have him on.
So it was like a Cajun curse or what?
I don't know, dude.
Yeah.
I don't know. But this would have been a good week to have our Aggie correspondent in.
Yeah, I would have loved to have seen the reaction this week versus last week. But.
Yeah, I mean, it's always a good weekend
yeah.
when LSU doesn't play and just no stress, and then watching Aggie lose. But no, he was great. And again, yeah, I apologize. We really don't know what happened. So hopefully we have everything fixed this week, and everything will sound great.
Yeah, everything seems to be good right now. We have the box sitting right here so that if we have any problems, we can hopefully hurriedly fix it. So anyway, but another absolutely great week of sports overall. Just starting off with the Major League, the Dodgers did end up clinching the World Series, and kind of one of the funniest things that I saw is that and I don't even think this was a joke. They said that the Dodgers' game plan was we're going to put the ball in play and make the Yankees play defense. And that ended up being what ended up costing the Yankees Game 5 to lose the World Series. So if you didn't watch any of it, so the Dodgers won the first 3 games. Yankees win Game 4, it's 3-1. Game 5, the Yankees were up 5-0 in the 5th inning. And then the 5th inning, they had, 3 or 4 errors that ended up allowing the Dodgers to end up taking the lead. Or I think they tied that inning, and then they took the lead later and ended up winning it in 5 games. And then LA does what they do best. They started to wreck their city and loot and all that stuff because that's the proper way to celebrate a World Series title.
I mean, how else do you celebrate it, honestly?
And it wasn't a Mickey Mouse ring this time. So.
True. Yep. We got a full-on Walt Disney ring. No, but, man, if they came out and said that, like, I didn't hear that, but isn't that the goal of baseball? Like, put the ball in play and let it find a hole? Like, what a bold strategy they came up with in that front office.
Sure.
Like, that's a great strategy. Man, let's put the ball in play. Let's do that.
Well,
let's not strike out. Good call, man.
Try not to strike out, try to put the ball in play.
Like, but no, the Yankees just absolute implosion, which you love to see it. And I doubt Soto's staying. Honestly,
no.
Garrett Cole opted out of his year.
Did you see the clause behind his contract?
Yeah, they add on like another $5 million or something.
No, they add on $36 million.
Oh,
so I don't know. Whatever his base contract was supposed to be next year, like he opted out of that. And so they said that the Yankees would have to pay him $36 million. So maybe it was like another 5. Maybe he was getting paid like 31 or something. Yeah. But they said he was going to get paid $36 million, and it pretty much voids his opt out and puts him back in.
So if they decide to pay the extra 5,
so if they say like we're going to pay him $36 million next year, then he stays for another year. I mean, I would kind of think that they would. But I don't know what Garrett Cole's intention is either. Like, I don't know, like, because like some players, like they'll opt out with the intention of just getting another contract
at the same place. Yeah.
But maybe like he is looking to go elsewhere. I mean, I know like when they signed the Yankees, he was a Yankees fan his entire life. They gave him like the whole replica stadium when they signed him, all this different stuff. So I'd be kind of surprised if all of a sudden he says like, no, I'm good. But I mean, what do you do at this point? I mean.
Framber Valdez can be a Yankee. let's get some of those prospects.
Yeah, he can go.
Yeah, I mean that's fine. But I mean, Garrett Cole's not getting any younger, right? I mean, he's their staff ace for sure. Don't get me wrong.
Also, he was drafted in 2013, right?
It was from UCLA. I mean,
yeah, so he's got to be
at least 34.
Yeah, close to low mid 30s. So yeah, he's getting pretty close to that point where you're going to start seeing a regression at some point. So
I mean, he's a competitor. I mean, he's gonna probably has at least like 4 more decent years in him.
oh yeah, for sure.
But like,
as long as he keeps that spider tack, I mean, he'll be all right.
I mean that was the downturn of his career. I feel like I'm serious, dude. Like his statistically, there was a big drop off, which is crazy. But no, I mean, I think he tries to go get one last like long term deal somewhere, and this extra year can be a big part in that because I mean, again, he's not getting any younger.
So do you think he goes for a big contract, or do you think he goes for a World Series ring? Because he still hasn't won a World Series.
I mean, he doesn't get that in New York.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
So does he go somewhere else to try to win a ring?
I mean, Soto
Potentially get paid less.
I mean, the Dodgers are looking at Soto. Why not just sign them both?
No,
Well, I mean, they probably would.
that wouldn't surprise me at all.
No, not at all.
Especially when you have Ohtani making $2 million next year.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Still absolutely bizarre. I wish we had our podcast, dude, whenever that came out.
But dude, did you look at that contract though? Like I'm pretty sure he gets like a huge percentage of every Dodgers game is being streamed or broadcast in Japan. So he's getting like a humongous percentage of all the ad revenue that's on those streams from Japan. That's why his contract is so. That's why he was able to take such a low contract because they have other incentives with like TV deals built into his contract.
Well, yeah, and then I'm sure he's got all sorts of sponsorships.
Oh,
and
for
everything
sure.
that he's doing.
I mean, he's the face of the Major League Baseball, and I mean, you know, he's a freaking like superstar, rock star in Japan.
Oh yeah, and he's still going to get his money eventually.
Yeah, for sure.
He's going to be the next Bobby Bonilla. They're just going to keep deferring it, and then we're going to have Ohtani Day every year.
Yeah,
so.
but with everything else that he's in, I mean, he's going to be making plenty of money every year. But
I know we touched on it too, but I mean, of all the guys, like even though he is a Dodger, you know, I am happy for him, you know, getting a ring. I mean, he is like he's a class guy. Like he's not an arrogant kind of dude that you don't want to win. Like you kind of root for him. So.
Yeah, and I saw on Twitter, like it was like the celebration on the stage, like in Dodger Stadium, like. You could tell like he's trying super hard to learn English and like he looked like a little lost puppy dog up there like trying to like and like it was like a wholesome moment for him. It was pretty cool. But and then obviously Freddie Freeman too. Like that's a good dude. You can tell that's a ball player, like a guy you want to root for. Unfortunately, it is for the Dodgers, but I mean, going up and down the list of the Yankee lineup, like there's really no one that I want to root for on that team.
No.
Absolutely like if you think like maybe LeMahieu, maybe,
yeah,
and only because he's a Tiger, an LSU Tiger.
Yeah, but how much does he even play anymore? Like,
I mean, I have no idea. I don't keep up with the Yankees.
I honestly didn't even know if he was still on the team, to be honest with you. So.
Yeah,
but I mean, like we said, if anybody's going to win, I'd rather the Dodgers than the Yankees for sure. So the drought continues in New York, but
may it long last.
Oh yeah, forever and ever.
Yeah. Amen.
But so that's the end of the MLB season until about late March. I know they started the season a little earlier now, so that'd be into that, and then also do the Premier League over the weekend. You know, kind of what we've been talking about is you're a lot more of an Arsenal fan than I am. I'm getting more and more into it. Like I've been following the games a lot more recently.
Dude, you've been watching them every weekend. You've been texting me every time the freaking something happens during the game.
Yeah,
so I know you're watching.
I've been trying to follow along the midweek ones. Well, so like, is there another tournament going on now?
So in the midweek this week, it's the Carabao Cup. So it's like the League Cup.
Oh, okay.
So there's like a League Cup. There's the FA Cup in England. So there's 2 cups in England that go on at the same time. And if you like rank them in value, like how much teams like want to win those trophies, the one that they played this past week, the EFL Cup is what it is.
Gotcha.
It's probably at the bottom, right? It's the one that like teams most of the time they play. They definitely play a like a younger lineup kind of thing. I mean Arsenal played Preston North End or something. And they won 3-0, but that's definitely the lowest one. But I mean, we're in the semifinals. It is a trophy, and in soccer, like that's what you want. You just fill the trophy cabinet no matter what it is.
So this one's like a quick tournament then.
I think the finals in February. So
gotcha.
yeah, and then the FA Cup is starting here in the next few weeks. And so that one is in May. That's like the last game of the season in England. And so the FA Cup, which Arsenal have won the most in English, like soccer history. So
it's just a lot to keep up with.
for sure,
really.
it's a lot. It is.
It's like because I guess the Champions League is kind of like on a break right now. Almost.
No, I mean Arsenal play Inter Milan on Tuesday.
That's what I mean. But like, when's the last time they played a Champions League game?
It's been a little bit.
A while.
Yeah,
so
it's been a little bit.
Well, I mean, I guess the international break kind of played into that as well.
It did.
So.
Which, God, get rid of that. But the Champions League is probably, for most people in most clubs, like that's probably top priority. Like,
Gotcha.
Champions League is number one. Winning the league is number two. FA Cup's 3. EFL Cup's the last thing. So,
Gotcha.
So yeah, there's a lot going on. Arsenal didn't do too well this week. They lost 1-0 to Newcastle. And man, they just didn't look like they were like. They just look like they're in a slump. Something's going on right now. Obviously, hitting with the injury bug. Gabriel, starting center back's definitely not fully fit. He had an injury last weekend. Obviously, Odegaard's still out. Saka was out for a little bit. And so it's just one of those things where just not playing very well right now, not cohesive. And then
also like the red cards too. Like
that has.
As in like Rice had to miss a match, and then Saliba had to miss a match. Like
Trossard missed a match. Like and you can handle red cards when they're in the 75th, 80th minute, but whenever they're in like the 30th minute of a game, you still have a whole hour to play a man down. It's tough, especially whenever you play when that happens against good teams like Manchester City and even Brighton, who are pretty good too.
Yeah.
But Arsenal find themselves, I think, 6 points from the top right now. Liverpool ended up coming back and beating Brighton. Brighton were up 1-0 for majority of the game, and then Cody Gakpo and then Salah with the winner. So they end up winning 2-1. Against Brighton, and then Manchester City ended up losing to Bournemouth 2-1.
Really?
Yeah. So Bournemouth beat Arsenal, and
I was gonna say so. Bournemouth is playing pretty well right now, like keeping themselves in it. So
and so right now the table. So Arsenal, they find themselves 7 points from the top against Liverpool, and then 5 from City. So still in reach, and Liverpool are playing pretty well right now, but I just don't trust them overall. Like, just something about them. I don't know. City are still the favorites in my opinion, and so that it was actually a decent result for Arsenal this weekend for City to lose. So I was hoping Liverpool would at least draw, but
I think I was listening to was it Caught Offside? I was listening to somebody, and they said like it was Caught Offside because. There was, I think it was a couple weeks ago, maybe before last weekend, that there was like updated odds, and they actually had Arsenal as the highest odds to actually end up winning the Premier League.
Yeah.
And then they struggled against. It was one of the midweek games. They struggled in that one, and then they lost to Bournemouth, and then they
drew against Liverpool.
Yeah, they drew against Liverpool, and so I think it was right before the Liverpool game is when like the odds had updated, and then obviously then they drew against Liverpool, which again that was a tough draw.
Man, they should have won that game.
Yeah, I mean they've 100% should have won that
and again,
one.
that's during that game we had an 18-year-old starting at center back.
Yeah,
like because that's when Gabriel got hurt. And Saliba was out from that red card, so we literally we were starting Kivior, who's an average at best center back, and then Miles Lewis-Skelly has to come in as an 18-year-old, like marking Salah. Like, come on, like it's it is what it is, and every team's going to have their injury bugs. Just hopefully ours has passed
for sure.
And Kevin De Bruyne is coming back for City, so he's been injured for a little bit, but I mean. Manchester City's depth is what makes them so good. They're running too deep everywhere. Arsenal's depth just isn't where it needs to be because we obviously have no replacement for Martin Odegaard, and it shows. Like there's just the creativity in midfield is just not there right now.
Yeah. I mean, really, it's been a lot of the set pieces have been what's been getting a lot of their goals. It's not been like actual like ball movement that's been getting them set up. So
yeah. So hopefully there's hope that he comes back against Inter Milan here in the midweek in the Champions League. So hopefully he gets some game time there, and then comes back because we have Chelsea on Sunday.
Yeah, which is a big one.
That's a huge one, which they ended up drawing today against Manchester United.
Oh,
So
man, you finally got rid of Ten Hag.
Dude, yeah, it's been a long time coming. I'm surprised he even they won the FA Cup last year.
Yeah, you said that's what
which
saved his
job.
job, right? Yeah.
And I mean, there needed to be a business decision before that, but they looked a little bit better today. But typically, teams have that new manager bounce right away. They play pretty well coming right out of the gate with a new manager. So we'll see kind of if that can be sustained over time.
Yeah, for sure. So, yeah, but that's the update with that. And so, obviously, a long season ahead for the Premier League. So
yeah, and this about this time is where some of these games come thick and fast because during the holiday season they play. I mean, during the Christmas break, I mean they don't have a break, but whenever you're like America's on a Christmas break, there's literally a Premier League game every day of the week.
Wow,
it's pretty crazy. And they like every team pretty much plays on Boxing Day, which is December 26th, the day after Christmas.
Yeah.
Like there's almost every team plays that day, which is nice.
So it's about to get real busy then.
Oh yeah, there's games like 3 games a week.
That's kind of crazy. That's good though. So
yeah, it'll be fun.
Oh yeah, for sure. But so yeah, and then also we haven't really touched on NFL recently, mostly because I'm just very sad. Which
I mean,
I mean, just as a Cowboys fan, I've said it many times, but dude, like honestly, like I know I texted in the group chat too, like the Cowboys might honestly not win a game in November. Like, dude, their schedule coming up. So they lost the Falcons today, which again, bad loss. They're down to 3-5, and then they have the Eagles next week. Then they have the Texans. Then they have the Commanders, and then they have the Giants on Thanksgiving. So I would say like the Giants are maybe like the only
you got to win
possible win.
You got to win that.
Yeah.
And honestly though, like the Texans haven't been playing that well.
Yeah, the Cowboys.
I know. The Commanders are the Commanders, and you say today's a bad loss. Yeah, it probably is a bad loss, but the Falcons aren't awful.
Well, but I'll tell you what the worst part about the loss is today. Well, okay,
it was winnable.
It's about how you. Well, it's winnable, but also, CD Lamb. They don't know what's wrong with him because he refused to get evaluated today. He landed hard on his shoulder today. And he favored it the rest of the day. Like he scored a 2-point conversion, and the corner like literally just bumped him, like barely bumped him, and like you could just see writhing in pain. So he potentially dislocated it. Worst case, like dude, he may have like broken his collarbone. Like dude, I don't know, like because he landed hard. And anytime you see like when they land hard on that right shoulder, especially the top, a lot of times that's where you have like your potentially collarbone stuff.
Or AC joint.
So he's probably out. Parsons been out for 4 weeks. DeMarcus Lawrence been out for 4 weeks. Diggs is not healthy. Dak has a hamstring, which, take it or leave it. I mean, Cooper Rush can't be any worse than Dak right now. So he actually let him down to score a touchdown. They got him within 6 points. So
yeah,
it actually didn't look too bad. So, but I mean, it's just adding insult to injury. Like, it just keeps getting worse. And then on top of it all, I wanted Dan Quinn to be the head coach so bad, and now you look at how well the Commanders are playing in literally his first season as the head coach over there. So it's absolutely brutal right now.
Yeah, that's tough.
But
I don't really keep up with the NFL much, but I'm kind of again, I listen to some stuff out of Baton Rouge and just kind of listening to what's going on in New Orleans. It makes me sad.
Yeah, they just lost to the Panthers today.
Yeah, they were 7-point favorites on the road and end up losing to the worst team.
The Panthers are the worst team by like a long shot.
No, they're not anymore.
Well, that's.
I mean, but I was listening to a podcast and if you had to guess which head coach, well, it's a leading question because I'm talking about the Saints, but which coach, like. How bad do you think the winning percentage is of a head coach, like before you get fired? Like what would you say? Like if you had a head coach that the winning percentage is what by the time you have to say, okay, this guy needs to go?
I mean, I would say probably like 40%. Like,
yeah, I mean, yeah. So Dennis Allen, there's a statistic. Dennis Allen, in the past 30 years, the worst winning percentage for a head coach that's coached at least 75 games. Dennis Allen holds that record at 33%. His winning percentage is 33.3%. It's lower now because they lost to the Panthers. But he still has a job. Like, I don't understand. Like, it looks like the locker room just doesn't, like, they're not playing for him. Like, after the game, like, Cam Jordan is tweeting and stuff about, like he's like, I'm so sorry, like, to New Orleans. Like, the tweet literally started off, we just lost to the Carolina Panthers, ... And then he said, I'm sorry to the city of New Orleans and the fans. Like, this is not acceptable.
No, it's bad, dude.
But Mickey Loomis, the GM, who was there in the Breeze and Peyton era, like, all that stuff, like, they're not hitting on any draft prospects, like nothing, like legitimately nothing. They're not hitting on a single thing. So their talent evaluation is god awful. And then they're signing these long-term big deals to these old players. Like Alvin Kamara, he's great, but dude, like, he's also in his 30s, like, and giving these big deals to the quarterback.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, you can't, like, Carr, like, you can't
Derek
give
Carr,
that big of a deal to Derek Carr, man. Like, and again, it comes down to talent evaluation, and the owner needs to come out and she, I mean, bless her heart, she's an older lady, Gail Benson, but she needs to make some moves. Like, something needs to happen. Like, the franchise, I feel like they think that they're still in this era where you still have Drew Brees, you still have Sean Payton running the show, but, I mean, obviously what they were doing in New Orleans was great, because for a long time New Orleans was the paper bag, like, show up to the dome, cover your eyes because the Saints are playing today.
Yeah, exactly.
And they're starting to become that again.
Well,
especially after a loss to the Panthers, who are by far the worst team in the NFL and probably have been in a very long time.
Well, and what I get, and like I get it too, like you usually give like a new coach like a couple of years. Like, okay, you just lost your best head coach in history. You just lost your best quarterback in history. And then, so like you give it a couple of years, like, okay, let's see if they can figure it out. But I mean, what year is this for Dennis Allen?
I
It's
think
like,
it's
what, year four?
Three
Year
or four.
And
it's not like he had a good history prior.
Yeah.
Coming in, like, he wasn't I believe he wasn't the head coach in I guess Las Vegas, or when they were in Oakland.
He might have been. I don't even know.
I'm not sure, but whatever it is, it's not working, and so they need to figure something out. Because again, I really don't care about the NFL that much, but I am a fan of Louisiana sports. Like, I want them to succeed.
Yeah.
And when you see that, and just going back to the Aints, like, it's not that fun.
Well, especially like they started 2-0, and like they were considered one of the best teams in the NFL.
Yeah.
And they haven't won since then. Like, they beat they absolutely embarrassed the Cowboys, which, you know, take it for what it is, but they haven't won a game since that.
I mean, they have had some injuries, but dude, like, Dennis Allen is known for being a good defensive head coach. They have a laughable defense.
Yeah.
Like, that's what you're there for, man. Like, and I don't think he has a defensive coordinator. I think he's running the show on defense too.
Which is even worse.
A problem. Yeah.
So I'm looking right now. They've given up the most points. Oh, the second most points in the league.
Yeah, and
behind Carolina.
Carolina's behind. Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, like, at some point you have to pull the plug.
Yeah.
At some point you have to.
Well, and then I mean, what's to say like you don't do it right now? Like,
but the problem though is, like, the way the GM has built the team and the roster. Like, there's no, like, end in sight. Like, it's so bad.
Yeah.
It's so bad right now. They didn't stockpile draft picks. They didn't do any of that. And even if they did, like, do you trust those people to make good picks in the draft?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't.
Well, that's where it comes to the point where, you know, you ditch your head coach, you ditch your GM, like, you pretty much
blow it all up.
You start from ground zero.
Blow it up.
Because, I mean, honestly, like, the Cowboys are in the same predicament, but, like, the last several years they've at least remained relevant enough to where, like, and Jerry Jones is who Jerry Jones is, but, like, he's not going to blow it up. So, but there's a certain point where you say, like, we have to restart. Let's get what we can get out of our serviceable players, and let's try to reset, like, in the future.
Because I saw there were rumors that Marshawn Lattimore was on the market. Like, the Chiefs were looking at Marshawn Lattimore.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, take it.
Yeah,
take it. Do it.
Just see what you can get out of it.
Get some picks out of it and fire your GM. Bring a new staff in. Dude, bring Jeff Luhnow in.
Yeah. I mean, something.
Dude, like, something has to happen. But
yeah, I mean, you gotta change the mojo somewhere, but
for sure.
But we'll see. But The Bears, they'd been playing pretty well, and they're playing bad. Dude, Detroit is absolutely rolling.
Dude,
right
they've got to
now,
be
dude.
they've got to be the favorite in the NFC.
Dude, I would consider them the favorites overall right now.
For sure.
But absolutely, for sure the NFC. I mean, because really, your top teams in the NFC right now, it's Detroit and Washington. That's your top two. And Washington, they're just so young.
Yeah, how much can you trust them going down
So
the
it's
stretch?
so you see you see how far they can go. And like you said, Atlanta's, they're not bad. Defensively, they haven't been great, but I mean, they look like an elite defense today against a mediocre offense.
True.
So,
I mean, the Bucks. I mean, they're not awful.
yeah, I mean they're 4-4, but I mean they can score points on
Yeah.
a whim. Minnesota, they're down at halftime right now to Indianapolis, but they're not a bad team.
Are the 49ers still in shambles?
Yeah, they're 4-4 right now. Dude,
Yeah.
they're so injury plagued right now too.
Yeah.
They just Debo Samuel 2 weeks ago, he checks himself out of the game completely before the game starts, and it turns out he had pneumonia.
Oh God.
So even last week, he was still not 100%.
Yeah.
Kittle's he's not 100%. Yeah, I mean just a lot of injuries. Christian McCaffrey's potentially out for the season.
Jeez.
Brandon Ayuk, who they just signed a long-term extension, he tore his ACL. They have a bunch of defensive players that are out too. It's just they have a lot that's down right now.
I feel like there's a lot of ACLs this year.
Yeah, it seems to be. Which again, it's gonna come back. It's actually been the last several years because it keeps coming back to the turf versus grass
for sure.
conversation. So,
Absolutely.
So I don't know, but I mean I know there's science around it. I haven't looked enough to see because people ask me because even in the high school level, they talk about turf versus grass because everybody in high school wants to go to turf because it's easier maintenance.
Mm-hmm.
But then also high school is not pros.
No, it's
because
not as violent.
Violent, and then also just the speed,
Explosion.
the
everything.
explosion, the change of direction, it's a completely different level.
Yeah.
And so that's a lot of times where you see stuff like that, and that's why soccer, they never play on turf. I think it was actually I found out that Messi has a clause in his contract that he will not play on turf.
Yep.
Because he's not going to get injured. So it is kind of crazy. So I mean, like I said, I have to see more science to see how the relation to ACL injuries to being on turf and all that. But I know J.J. Watt was a huge proponent of that last year of getting rid of turf across the NFL.
Oh yeah, especially with him being in England now, where everything's on grass because he's the owner of Burnley.
Yeah.
So you see that. It's definitely an issue that has been more prevalent in the last few years, 100%, and it just sucks because it takes out some of the biggest explosive playmakers out of the game, and I mean that's who you want front and center.
Yeah.
Well,
then you have guys like Aiden Hutchinson who just wraps his shin around his own player and snaps his leg last week. So
that's brutal.
I don't think you can blame the turf on that.
No, not on that one. I didn't see the Diggs one.
Stefan?
Yeah.
I didn't see it either, but I mean, I guess it was pretty rough.
That's tough.
But yeah, then a couple more today. It's just kind of crazy. It's just keeps stockpiling.
It's another reason I don't play fantasy football.
Yeah.
Because that would be exactly what would happen to my entire team.
It ruins your team in a hurry.
Very fast. Yeah. And then you're out here going on the waiver wire picking up some fifth string wide receiver from Bowling Green,
Somebody that had one game of 80 yards or something. You're like, oh, I just hope he does it again.
Yeah, let's take a flyer on this guy. Yeah, no thanks.
Yeah, we'll just stick to our prize picks.
That's exactly right.
Just doing we get reboots in there.
Yep. Get refunded.
Yeah, but the Chiefs are still undefeated. They're playing well. The Texans are first place. They're not playing great, but their division's bad. Pittsburgh's actually playing well. Russell Wilson, kind of a resurgence this year. He's been playing really well. And then the Bills keep winning, but the AFC East is also bad too. So the Bills are in first place at 7-2, and then the Jets are in second place at 3-6.
Jeez.
Miami's 2-6, and New England's 2-7. So
it's pretty bad.
When you get to play 6 games in that division, then that always helps.
Absolutely.
So, but a lot of craziness still happens in the NFL, and usually teams start to turn it up usually in the second half, and you start to see a little bit of a breakaway. But right now, I mean, the Lions have been playing really well throughout the season, and then the Chiefs still haven't lost. So I mean,
It's looking like it's going to be a showdown.
yeah, and honestly, like the Chiefs offensively have not played well this year. Like their defense has actually been what's won them a lot of games.
Yeah.
So it's kind of crazy because they've kind of been the full package the last few years, and now like Mahomes looks normal.
Yeah, but
So-
isn't it with them too? Like the injury bug,
Yeah.
like pretty bad on the offensive side of the ball.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like they just traded for DeAndre Hopkins.
Yep.
Because they were having trouble on the wide receiver, and so. Which I mean, DeAndre Hopkins is not the same receiver that he was when he was with the Texans, or
Still a threat.
yeah,
you know?
still absolutely still a threat. So, I mean, it still puts them as definitely the favorites. I mean, because I mean, the Bills are just one of those teams, they get in the playoffs and then they find a way to lose. So,
Yeah.
so yeah, I mean, I would say right now it'd probably be the Chiefs and the Lions that are gonna be playing, but it'd be interesting to see, dude. So.
For sure.
But so that's the NFL. So
Yeah, that's enough.
And then obviously,
I've said too much on the NFL so far.
yeah. Hey, dude, we're forcing a little bit out of you every single week. So
Yeah,
try to anyway.
Prize Picks helps.
There you go. Well, that's what I was telling you. Oh, I think we said outside of the podcast last week, but like, I mean, when you do stuff like that, where you just throw a few bucks here, a few bucks there, like, it makes you just pay attention to what's going on. Like,
It keeps you interested.
yeah, for sure. Like, if nothing else, like you see what's going on. Like,
Yeah. Where else would I ever watch Russian table tennis at 3 a.m.? You know? Why would I care?
dude, they have online. Have you ever tried the online gaming, dude?
I have some, like 20 headshots, like
Yeah,
on maps 1 through 4.
dude, I love following the Discord too because people are like, "No, they do straight trash."
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I'm like, dude, were y'all even watching this?
Yeah.
At like,
Twitch, dude.
I guess
No,
so,
it
yeah.
is. It's on Twitch for sure.
Everybody's just live. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
It's great.
Yeah, I'm not that invested. So.
No, I'm totally kidding. I'm not up at 3 a.m. I have kids.
yeah, for sure.
If
So-
I'm up, there's a problem.
exactly. Yeah, it's because you're cleaning something up. So.
Yes. But yeah, let's roll into the college football because it was another really good week. We had some big upsets,
Dude, I'm telling you,
multiple.
this is the second time that we've said like it's gonna be a boring weekend, and dude, like this one really like impacted so much. Like it's just as far as standings and
God, yeah.
everything else. Like, dude, it was just an absolutely bizarre week, especially the Big 12, dude. Like the Big 12, like almost got flipped upside down
Dude.
this weekend. So, I mean BYU, you know, they didn't play, so they stayed undefeated. But
Control their destiny now.
yeah, dude, like it's all them now. So so we'll just kind of do a rundown. So you know, the big college game day was at Happy Valley this week.
Mm-hmm.
They had the big showdown of Penn State and Ohio State, number 3, number 4. Drew Allar ended up playing.
Yep.
He didn't play a lot, I don't think. Well, I think he played the majority, but
Yeah.
I do know that Pribula he did spot play a little bit. But dude, like,
They had chances, man.
yeah, I
They
mean,
had chances to win that game,
yeah, and I think they should have won.
and they
but-
came out hot, dude. They came out like that pick 6.
Dude, they went up 10-0 right off the bat. Like,
Literally, is blink 10-0.
yeah,
And you knew the defenses were going to show up, but I mean,
Yeah, they
getting
scored-
a 10 spot in the first 5 minutes, like I mean,
yeah,
dude, that looked like they were going to roll.
and you scored 3 points the rest of the game. That's
Yeah,
rough.
that's
dude,
not a
so-
good look. But no, Ohio State, you got to give them credit for buckling down in a tough environment. Obviously, anytime you go to Happy Valley, I mean, you're going to have the crowd behind. I think there was 110,000 or 111,000. It was
just
a record.
complete white
Yeah.
crowd, dude. Like, it's just crazy to see.
And so, I mean, it shows something from Ohio State because, I mean, if they lose that game, I mean, they have a big hill to climb to get back into the playoff picture.
for sure, yeah, going
so,
with 2 losses,
yeah.
they're 2 top teams, yeah. And so, well, and kind of like we said, like the really the annoying part, just going with the crowd and everything. Like, I hate that game was at 11 o'clock, dude.
Yeah.
Like, it's so like I get like the Big Ten has their big noon kickoff or whatever, but
But, dude, honestly, though, I think they like that.
I mean,
Up north.
I guess
I
they
think
do,
up north
but-
they like that. Like they like the early games, and you have to think though too. Whenever it's starting to get around this time and a little later, like if you're kicking off at 6:30 at night, the cold and the
Yeah.
snow, like and all that stuff, like. I mean, obviously, it's still a little earlier in the season, so this game could have been later. But I mean, I wouldn't want to play in the snow at 11. Much less, like God forbid, I had to do it at 7 p.m. No,
That
thank
is
you.
true. That is true.
So it just gets colder. So I wonder if that plays a part into it. But But no, I mean, yeah, especially being from like the South and watching SEC matchups at night.
Oh yeah,
Like I will touch on it a little bit, but that South Carolina crowd was freaking
yeah,
electric.
that 6:30 kickoff,
Dude.
yeah, dude, like just absolutely
So electric, but
just unbelievable. But
it was
dude,
a crazy game, dude. Did
Yeah.
did you watch most of it or no?
I watched most of it.
Yeah.
So
Just kind of that ending, that interception in the corner,
yeah,
and then getting stuffed at the goal line. Like, dude, like the chances were there for
yeah, it
Penn
was
State,
all
man.
there and just. But dude, like Ohio State just has so many weapons
Yeah.
too, dude. Like it's just like they got Judkins and they've got Mbuka and they've got
Travion
Jeremiah
Henderson.
Smith. They got Travion Henderson.
Yeah.
Like, dude, like just so many things. And then like, I mean, well, when you spend $20 million in NIL, you know that's the kind of roster you're going to put together. So
Absolutely, but I still don't trust their quarterback, man. Like, I mean, I said that last year too with Michigan, just kind of like a game manager, and it worked out fine. And in the national championship, the dude goes off and throws for a crazy amount of yards, where he was throwing for like 80 a game. But Will Howard's just kind of like a game manager kind of guy. Like, don't make a bad decision.
yeah, and that's how he was at Kansas State last year.
Exactly.
I mean,
So I don't know if they like if they get down against a good offense who can score. Like, I don't know how that's going to look for them, because playing from behind like a good offense, and I don't consider Penn State like a high-flying, high-powered offense. They're a run
no,
first.
yeah,
They're Big Ten offense. Let's just say that.
for sure.
But if they go up against like a Ole Miss or like an LSU or like a even Texas, man, like I don't know if they can keep up with that. If they get down early,
yeah,
if they go up, I mean they control the clock, they do their thing. But
well, but I mean, like against like Oregon.
I mean they
You know,
yeah
they went up early in that one, and then Oregon just kept fighting back,
Yeah.
and so. But again, that's more of it's like a high-powered offense playing against a
Yeah.
high-powered offense. So,
Yeah.
so that's where you see a lot
they
of
were able
points.
to do
but
it there. Yeah.
yeah, so it's just so it'd be interesting to see like when they do get into like playoff season, like how are they going to be able to hold up?
Yeah.
When every game you're playing against a high-level team.
For sure.
So. But I mean, you could say that for a lot of teams.
Absolutely.
Too, so,
Absolutely.
like Miami, like they
Miami.
struggled against Duke in the beginning, and then they ended up
Putting 53 up.
They ended up putting 53. Like Cam Ward, he ends up throwing for 400 yards and 5 touchdowns.
I mean, he's for sure the Heisman favorite. Like,
Yeah.
no question.
I mean, I would think it's either him or Dylan Gabriel. Like that's who it comes down to at this point. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it just depends on what you're going to look at. I mean, as far as stats, I mean, it's
Ward.
Cam Ward for sure.
Not even a question.
So, but you never know what the voters are going to do either. So,
Yeah.
but I mean, as long as Miami keeps winning, I mean, I don't see how he doesn't.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I feel like their schedule. Well, I mean, I don't know. Like, I think if you look at their schedule versus Oregon, I mean, I don't know who's really played a tougher schedule up to this point. I mean,
I don't think Miami's played too many. Oregon at least has that big quality win against Ohio State.
yeah, I mean, Miami's big win is, yeah, they haven't played a ranked opponent this
No.
year.
Yeah.
That's kind of crazy. I did not realize that.
Yeah, it's definitely
So
Oregon.
yeah, so their biggest matchup was Louisville.
Yeah.
So that's kind of crazy. So yeah, so I mean, it just
Who beat
depends
Clemson this week?
Yeah, rolled Clemson.
Yeah.
So that was kind of crazy, but yeah, but Miami, they keep winning and just keep. I mean, they're up to number 4 now. Ole Miss goes into Arkansas, puts up 63 points, which that shocks me too. Like I expected points, but not that kind of points, dude. Like, because I mean, again, what did Jackson Dart threw
I think
for
it's 6 touchdowns,
515 yards and 6 touchdowns
Yeah.
on 25 completions.
Dude, God, I can't think of his name. The wide receiver had 5.
Yeah, Jordan
receptions.
Watkins.
Jelani Watkins. No, not Jelani. I don't know his first name, but Watkins, yeah.
Yeah, Jordan Watkins had 8
Is it
catches
Jordan
for
Watkins?
254 yards.
5 tutties.
Yeah, 5 touchdowns.
Crazy, yeah. And that's the Ole Miss. That's the Ole Miss that I expected all year.
Yeah.
Just that fast tempo, Lane Kiffin, high flying offense. But I guess they put it all together finally against Arkansas.
Well, they have a bye last week. Are they coming off a bye?
I'm not sure. I don't know that
Yeah,
answer.
I think so.
I think they had a bye after LSU. So if
Yeah,
that
so it
was
would've been
if
last
that
week,
was
yeah.
yeah. And I mean they have a big matchup coming up this week. They play Georgia.
Oh yeah, that is.
And
a big
if that
one, so,
offense
yeah.
plays like that, I mean, obviously it's a stiffer test against Georgia's defense, but I mean, Ole Miss
For
looked
sure.
great.
Oh yeah, dude, for sure. So I mean, yeah, if they keep playing like that, I mean, they could definitely. I don't think they can get into the playoff conversation, but they can at least make some noise and cause some problems.
I mean, but
so.
they could get in the playoff conversation.
I mean, they're number 19 right now.
Yeah,
so,
and they only have 2 losses.
Yeah.
Well, they win out.
They just need other teams to.
Because if they beat Georgia, like that's a big win.
That's true.
So
you think they beat Georgia, they probably get to number 13. So yeah, so they're right back.
And
in
just have other people lose. Like if Iowa State loses again or something.
Well, Iowa State's down to like 17 now. So.
Oh dang, they dropped that far.
Yeah,
first loss of the year.
I mean, we'll talk about it in a minute, but I think that the AP poll really started lining up to what it's going to start looking like for the playoff ranking. So, but Illinois, Minnesota goes into Illinois. Like that was a good pick on your end. Picking them to beat Illinois. So
PJ Fleck, man.
PJ Fleck. So, let's see who else went down. Oh, Vanderbilt bounced back. They beat Auburn 17-7. Oregon rolled Michigan, which we expected.
Yeah, absolutely.
Dude, Georgia struggled. Dude, it's 20-20 going to the fourth quarter, right?
Dude, if DJ Lagway doesn't get hurt, I think Florida might win that game.
Yeah, dude. Like
they were down to their third string quarterback because Mertz is out for the season. So DJ Lagway, a true freshman, is in there.
Yeah.
And he was looking really good against Georgia. And then he pulls up with a bad hammy injury.
Yeah, and so they got a third string quarterback in there.
And the changing moment, I don't know if you watched that game. I watched most of it.
I didn't get to watch that.
The changing moment of that game is it was 20-20, and Florida was lining up for a field goal, and the holder literally misses the ball and it goes 20 yards back, and then obviously Georgia gets the ball there on a short field and then scores a touchdown that drive. But that's a game changer. They go up. They have momentum, and then that's literally the pivotal moment. And that was late in the third quarter. There was 2 minutes left in the third.
That's wild.
Yeah. So again, Florida was looking better, but going forward, LSU, I think has Florida next week.
Yeah.
Or after Alabama, but if they're down to their third string quarterback, that's a tough ask.
They're going to Austin this week, so.
Oh yeah, so that's a tough ask going to Austin with a third string quarterback.
Yeah. And Texas coming off a bye too, so
yeah,
and they still got a little bit to prove after losing to Georgia and then keeping it close with Vanderbilt. So
for sure,
it'll be interesting what happens. But and Tech, dude, going to Iowa State, getting that win. Tech is another one of those teams. They could be winning the Big 12 right now. If they just would get out of their own way,
took care of their own business, man. What an up and down team.
It really has been too.
Lose to TCU and then go and beat Iowa State. That's crazy.
Losing back to Baylor and TCU.
Oh, that's
what killed them.
They didn't lose to Baylor. They got destroyed by Baylor.
Yeah, 59-35.
Yeah.
Dude, they were in first place. They controlled they were 3-0. I mean, they didn't play anybody great. They beat Arizona State, beat Cincinnati, beat Arizona. So I mean, they were ready to roll. I mean, and then you get Baylor at home and get destroyed.
Yeah.
And then you lose by a point at TCU. That was a brutal one.
Yeah, dude.
And then bouncing back and beating Iowa State. They could easily be in the playoff conversation right now.
Oh, absolutely. So, they're just getting in their own way.
Just a brutal loss.
Because, they have another big game coming up this weekend against Colorado.
Yep, at home. So
yeah, which Tech is showing up? We just don't know.
Yeah, for sure. Colorado's trying to get in the playoff conversation, dude. Could you imagine?
The thing that's crazy is do I think they're good? No, but I think if they do what they're supposed to and win out, they're going to get the benefit of the doubt just for the clout,
for sure,
just for the marketability.
Oh yeah, because the money that would roll in with Colorado in the playoff, dude, would be unbelievable.
Yeah.
So, but Indiana, they go down 10-0 early against Michigan State. They end up winning 47-10.
They're rolling, man.
Yeah, dude, they're playing so well right now. We talked about earlier. They jumped to number 8 in the standings now, which
deserved.
Still undefeated, still winning games, still playing really well right now. Despite who they've played and everything, they're still they're doing it. They're just destroying everybody right now. So, but they got that big one coming up against Ohio State. I think it's next week. That'll be a big one for them. So, and then the other upset in the Big 12 is Houston, of all teams, beating Kansas State.
Dude.
Kansas State's another team, dude. If they would just do what they're supposed to do, they would be running the Big 12 right now. But, dude, they have 2 bad losses. Like, I mean, getting destroyed by BYU, which, BYU's undefeated, but and then going to Houston and losing that one. Like, that's rough.
That's a bad look.
So,
But the Big 12, that's what we were talking about. Like, it's just
everybody beating everybody.
you just don't know week to week. Like, you don't bet money line in the Big 12.
No. Well, dude, like, it's almost like every conference this year. Like,
I mean, true.
the fact that, like, there's no undefeated teams, like, in SEC play now, the ACC, like, everything going on with that. Like, it's just, there's a lot of teams just finding ways to win.
Vegas is loving it.
Oh, yeah, dude, because they're raking in.
Vegas is loving it, man.
Just raking. But let's see what else happened. So, dude, Nebraska lost to UCLA. Like,
dude, I did see that
lower-level
too.
game, but that was surprising, dude. Like,
UCLA's a bad football team.
Yeah, like Nebraska. I guess that was just a big letdown after the Ohio State game. And at home too. Like, that's rough.
And then obviously South Carolina A&M.
Yeah, dude.
I know if you
What
were
a
waiting
win.
to touch that, but dude, I don't know if I talked about it last week, but I feel like I called that.
Well, yeah,
Did I talk about it on the? Did we talk about that on the podcast?
I
don't
know we
remember.
talked about it.
I know I talked to a lot of people about it. I thought that a full week of preparing for Marcel Reed would do wonders. And don't get it twisted. South Carolina's defense is legit.
Yeah,
like their front seven is legit.
Yeah.
Their secondary questionable, and that's where LSU kind of exposed them a little bit whenever they came all the way back to win. Garrett Nussmeier kind of touched them up, but their front seven is legit, and again, it showed. But the thing that's crazy is it was pretty much a complete opposite of the game the prior week against LSU. Like, LSU controlled, dominated everything, and then in the second half, one team just pulled away. A&M didn't score a point in the second half.
No, that's crazy.
Yeah, so somebody on the South Carolina side made an adjustment where A&M couldn't do it, and that's kind of what happened with LSU. Another thing I didn't touch on, and I wonder how much this will play a part into it as well. So about going back to LSU and A&M. So in soccer terms, right, with Marcel Reed coming into the game against LSU, so LSU defensively, like, depth is not a thing. Like,
No.
LSU has corners, safeties, and linebackers playing 80 snaps a game.
Yeah.
Like, literally, they don't come out of the game.
Yeah.
Like, out of 87 snaps, they played 87.
There's no rotation.
Literally no rotation. So in soccer, whenever a super sub comes on, they're completely fresh-legged.
Mm-hmm.
The defense is gassed because they've been running up and down the field all game. I feel like that might have played a part into it too with Marcel Reed. Marcel Reed had fresh legs, and these linebackers were just heavy-legged
Right.
all game, and they just couldn't adjust to that, like, fresh leg. So I wonder if that – I mean, if I'm A&M, I'm looking at that and saying, hey, maybe we should see if Wegman can spark something. Like, he probably won't. But just wear down the defense a little bit, and then Marcel Reed comes in and just takes over.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. Like, go to kind of a, you like switch off. Like, you have like your pocket passer that can sling it around, and then also you have like your running guy that can, like, you have like packages for different things.
And obviously you're taking a chance, obviously getting down too far with Wegman being in the game, because I don't think he would have been able to bring him back to tie the game like they did. But again, like that fresh, like, legs. Whenever you come in against a defense that's worn down, like, that might be something.
Well, but on the other end of it too, it's like, how do you let either one of your quarterbacks really get into a groove?
Absolutely.
If you keep rotating them in and out, and then like,
No, that is a big
so
question.
last week against LSU, it's like, hey, like, Marcel, we believe that you can go, help us get a win here. So we put him in. It works out.
That's not what happened.
And then, well, I'm just saying, but you know what I mean. Like,
LSU completely dominated Connor Wegman to the point where he was so bad that you had to do
like,
that.
Hey, let's try to get a spark,
You had to do that. Like, LSU game planned Wegman so well and played so well against that offense that there was no other option.
Yeah.
Like, you were going to get blown out if Connor Wegman stayed in that football game.
Yeah, but then what does it look like this week when you go, never mind, we'll go back to Wegman? You know
Oh,
what I
it
mean?
looks
Like,
awful. But it was to the point where Elko was like, oh, we haven't made a decision on the starter up until Friday. So there were still questions, I think, in his head.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because even look at it where, Wegman was a starter, he gets hurt, and then Reed, they didn't play anybody really well. Like they didn't play any great teams, but like he went 4-0.
Yeah.
And then Wegman comes back and immediately they put him back as a starter.
Yeah.
So I mean, like even then, like it was almost like there was no question for Elko. Like Wegman's our guy.
I mean, it's kind of like Texas and Ewers.
Yeah, I mean it's the same kind of deal.
It's the same concept, except Marcel Reed forced Elko's hand.
Yeah.
Like, after what happened last week, like you can't.
Well, yeah, because like if LSU like say Reed scores a couple touchdowns and then LSU stuffs him the rest of the game.
Oh yeah,
like more than likely Wegman's playing last
absolutely,
night. So
absolutely. But after that big win like that, you have to start him.
yeah, you have to at least give him a chance and see what he can do. So, but now what do you do?
Yeah, no, absolutely. But
because
Sellers,
but at the same time, because like now you have to. I mean, on the other end, like it becomes a little more difficult for defenses because now you have to prepare for two different quarterbacks that are two completely different styles.
Completely opposite. Which, I mean, Marcel Reed, he didn't look awful throwing the football. He didn't look great, but he didn't look awful.
He actually made a few pretty good passes.
Yeah, I agree. But going down the stretch, I mean, you have to stick with Reed because, I mean, that just is what it is.
Yeah, you can't flip-flop.
You can't, I feel like that ship's passed with Wegman, and you could just tell on the sideline, like they kept panning to him during the game, and you could tell he was just kind of checked out.
Well, because look at it too. I mean, the two best teams that A&M had played up to that point were Notre Dame and LSU.
Yeah,
and that was Wegman's two worst games. Was
fair.
Against like the two better teams that they've played.
That's absolutely fair.
So I mean, and so you look at it from that perspective, because it kind of goes back to what we said at the beginning of the season: is Wegman was a Heisman favorite because of like the numbers that everybody said they would flow into SEC play, even though they were playing mid-level teams to bad level teams when he played before he would get hurt. So
sure.
Just looking at it from that.
But on the other side, Lenore Sellers, man, like I watched him the entire game against LSU. He's grown a ton since then. Like, dude, he did not look very good against LSU. He was very good at running the ball. He could not complete a pass down the field.
Yep.
And then he ends up getting injured during the game, which I think if he stays in, South Carolina wins that game against LSU. But it was all run. Like, he could not complete a forward pass against LSU. And you could tell he's looked a lot better since that time, which, again, you're allowed to get better. And South Carolina looks great. They demolish OU, and then they go in and have a big win against A&M.
Well, then even still, I feel like they could be even better. Like, I just feel like their play calling is just kind of questionable sometimes. Like, some of the time that, what we were talking about last night, it was like they had so many opportunities to, like, run clock and burn clock and run the ball, and they're throwing, like,
fade
deep passes. And I don't know if that's Sellers, like, just trying to go for the jugular or if that's, like, the play call, but it was like, God, it's like you're leaving opportunities for them to get back in the game. And so
for sure.
So it's kind of weird, but that could also be them, like you said, like him kind of just still growing throughout. But yeah, big win for South Carolina. And I know, like Will said it last week too, he said he was worried about South Carolina because I mean, they're a team like, and we've talked about it. Like, if a couple things go a little differently, like South Carolina is potentially on top of the table right now. Like, if they find a way to beat LSU,
if Sellers doesn't get hurt, they beat LSU.
Yeah, like if they beat LSU there, they lose to Alabama by 4 points.
Yeah,
like I mean, like if they win those two, I mean, like they're sitting on top of the table right now.
Absolutely.
So,
but the same thing can be said about Vandy.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I mean, yeah, dude, just like everybody thought, you could have South Carolina and Vanderbilt on top of the
That's what I thought.
Right
That's what I thought. But yeah, no, it definitely shakes things up for sure with A&M losing. I mentioned in the group chat, like the SEC like tiebreaker is crazy.
What is the tiebreaker? Do you know it?
Yeah, it's nuts. It's pretty deep, but like pretty much what's going to happen is, so you go by head to head, right? So like right now, like at this moment, if LSU wins out, if Georgia wins out, if Texas wins out, all of them are going to be 7-1 in conference.
Right.
And there's going to be a 3-way tie.
Right.
So the only team that all three of them have played is Florida. So then it goes by who have you played?
Okay.
That are similar. So they've all played Florida. They all beat Florida. So there's no tiebreaker there.
Gotcha.
So the last thing that it goes to is winning percentages of the teams that you beat in conference. So today, if that scenario occurs, the SEC championship will be Georgia versus LSU. Texas would not get in because of their strength of schedule in the SEC is so bad.
Interesting.
Which is nuts. That means literally Texas can go 7-1 in the SEC in their first year. Only losses at home to Georgia and not get in the championship game.
But did we talk about this last week, or did we talk about it outside? How like it's almost better that you don't play in the SEC championship at this point.
I think we talked about it. Yeah, it's. I mean, if you're going into the SEC championship with like to win the game, like if LSU goes into the championship game and plays Texas A&M again, I think they win. I would like that.
Yeah.
But if LSU has to go into the championship game and play Georgia in Atlanta, I don't like that.
But it's just crazy to imagine that, say, all three of those teams win out. So, like, I don't know. I think LSU's like, what, 13 right now?
Yeah.
So, say they end up probably at, like, number 8,
Yeah.
7.
If they win out.
And so then you have Georgia at number 2, Texas number 3, and then LSU at number 7. So, Texas, even though they're number 3 in the nation,
they wouldn't be
is not playing in a conference championship, which is kind of, you know, it's good because they don't have to play, like, so you're locked into the playoff, but then also, like, you're missing out on the bye. So it drops you to that 5 seed where you don't get that first round bye.
Yeah.
And so then you're having to play
an extra game.
You're having to play that 12 seed.
But it'd be a home playoff game, which would be sick.
Right, against Boise State.
Yeah, that does suck.
But I mean, it's Boise State. I mean, if they could figure out how to beat Genty, I mean, I think they'll be all right. So
yeah.
But that would definitely not be the easiest game.
No.
Like, because you kind of imagine the 12 seed being like a team where it's kind of like, oh, the 5 seed is going to roll. But I mean, Boise State, I mean, they're pretty good. I mean, they don't have a good strength of schedule, so you don't know for sure like how good a team they are.
If they are, I mean, if they're good enough to go on the road at Oregon and almost win, I mean, that was earlier in the season, so who knows? I don't keep up with Boise State football, so I don't know about their injury list and stuff. Like, they could have people out, and they could have got a little worse because of that. But I mean, that was a good loss. If there is such a thing.
For sure.
If there is such a thing as a good loss, that is.
And if that's their only loss, yeah.
So, but no, with the playoff first ranking coming out on Tuesday, I figured, let's set it up, man. Let's be in the room. Let's make our 12.
Make our 12.
Let's make our what's going to be the ranking? What you got? Let's go together. Let's do this. Let's come to a conclusion. Our at face value playoff ranking.
This is an at face value exclusive.
This is official.
Yeah.
Like, this is what it's going to be.
Like, they're probably listening to what we're saying right now.
For sure. This is why we're putting it out there. So we can get our 2 cents in.
Yeah, I mean, Oregon's number 1.
Oregon's 1. For sure.
I think if the scenario plays out that okay, so I'm going to play that this scenario that you're talking about is going to play out. So I'll say Georgia's 2.
Agreed.
I'll say Miami is 3.
Agreed.
And then I'll say that oh man.
And this doesn't have to. This isn't the final ranking with conference champions. This is just a ranking.
Oh, like right now?
Yeah, that's because that's what they're going to do. That's what they're going to do for the ranking. They're not going to. They're not going to project the winners of conferences for the bracket.
So I mean, if that's the case, so if we're going off of that, then I mean, I would say it's pretty close to what it is right now. So like, you have Oregon 1, Georgia 2, Ohio State's number 3, Miami 4, Texas 5. I mean, does that sound pretty good so far?
Yeah, I'm torn, man. Like, I feel like
so you don't think they'll?
I feel like Indiana is getting disrespected.
So do you think that they bump Indiana into the top 4, top 5? I mean, who do they jump?
I mean, Ohio State has an L.
True. But they lost to the number 1 team in the nation.
True. But I mean, Texas did too.
Yeah.
You know?
So
why is Texas why is Ohio State ahead of Texas?
Oh yeah, no, I agree with that.
So that's what I'm saying. So I think Indiana's disrespected. And I mean, they have a chance to prove it next week.
Yeah, so I think the top 2 are locked.
Yeah,
I think Oregon and Georgia are your top 2.
Agreed.
Honestly, I mean, I would put Miami number 3.
I think I would too. I think I'd put Miami number 3.
Just because say what you want about their schedule and everything else, but they're still winning. Like
Yeah.
they found a way to win week after week, and they're putting up crazy points. And like you said, they probably have the Heisman winner playing right now.
I was just going to say they probably, they have the best quarterback in the country right now.
So you go based on that, and then, I mean, I would put, man. So who do you have 4?
I'm making a case for Indiana at 4.
So you're putting Indiana at 4.
I am.
I mean, I don't disagree with that because I mean, I think that they've played enough. I think they've played enough to this point that puts them in that conversation.
And not only who they're beating, but how they're beating them.
Yeah,
They're not just eking out like Miami is. They're going out and destroying people.
yes, like it's week after week, like
Yeah.
just like mauling everybody.
So I'm honestly putting Indiana 4.
I'd put Indiana 4. I think that's good.
I'm putting Ohio State 5.
Put Ohio State 5. Put Texas 6.
Texas 6, yes. Just because they haven't played that tough of a schedule other than the Georgia game. They lost the one tough game that they played this year.
I'll put BYU at 7 because they're undefeated.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that they've made their case to this point that they deserve to be up there.
Yeah, until they lose. Yeah. I'm down.
Oh, man, I'm trying to look at what else. Oh, I mean, Tennessee. I mean, Tennessee's. You know, they have quality wins. I mean, who was their one? Oh, they lost to Arkansas. That was their one loss.
Tough loss.
Yeah. So
Not a good look.
I mean, I would probably argue for them for number 8 right now.
Yeah.
I mean, do you disagree or do you?
No, I think that's right.
Yeah.
And it's all going to shake out because Tennessee and Georgia have to play each other.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, it'll obviously move.
So things are going to shake out at the end of the day.
for sure.
But as of right now, I think so. Yeah, I'd put Tennessee there.
So let's see. So who else? So then probably, I mean, I'd put Penn State at 9. I mean,
Yeah.
because their only loss is
One
to
loss.
Ohio State, who we have at number 5. Penn State number 9. I would say.
I know where you're going.
I hate to do it.
I know
but
where you're going.
I'm gonna put Notre Dame at
Northern
10.
Illinois,
Yeah.
baby. Yeah.
Dude.
I mean,
that's why I put them in my playoff though.
I disagree. I'm going to disagree with 10
Okay.
being Notre Dame. I got SMU at 10.
I was torn. I thought about putting SMU up there.
I got SMU
I
at
mean,
10.
SMU is 100% the second best team in the conference right now. Like,
Easily. And again, they went and absolutely mauled Pitt.
that was a great call that was a great call for my dark horse.
Dude, that was an
ACC.
unbelievable pick for the dark horse. But SMU, I got SMU at 10. I mean,
Yeah, because their only loss is to BYU, and that was the second game of the season.
it was super early, yes. And again, if you have BYU that high, like you got to have SMU
yeah.
there, in my opinion.
So what do you have? Boise at 11. Or do you put Notre Dame at 11? Do you have Notre Dame in your top 12?
I'll probably put Notre Dame at 11 and then Boise at 12.
Boise at 12.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think that sounds good. Because, I mean, then you have, I mean, like I know Alabama has, their 2 top losses, but, man,
But the thing that sucks is Notre Dame is probably not going to lose again.
No, they're not.
Like, they're solidifying themselves in that spot.
Yeah, I mean, USC is in a downward spiral right now. Play Stanford, who's not good. I mean, they really don't have any quality games left on
No.
their schedule.
Nothing.
So, I mean, Navy, I thought Navy was going to be a quality game, and look how that turned out.
Dude,
So-
Navy just lost to Rice,
To Rice.
this weekend. Yeah.
That was a weird game.
Yeah.
They didn't start till 9:30 because of rain.
Yeah.
They had huge thunderstorms in Houston, so it threw their game off. But yeah,
but
dude,
still, you can't lose to Rice.
no, and it was 24-10. It wasn't even close.
Yeah, no. But yeah, I think that rounds out the top 12, at least for the first ranking. That's probably about right. And again, there's going to be some flip flops, probably what they're going to come up with. But I think Indiana's needs to get more respect for what they've done so far.
I agree. I don't see at what point you don't put them up there. I'm just glad because I know we talked about it this morning. I'm just glad that the AP poll finally gave them a little respect. Because they were so low the entire time, and it was
But dude, it's literally based off of name recognition.
yeah,
Because they're doing what Miami's undefeated. Why is Miami so high?
yeah,
Indiana has better wins against better competition, and they're destroying those
Well,
teams.
that's what we were just talking about. Is like looking at the strength of schedule. Like you can't argue against Indiana because
No.
like they're winning their games regardless. Like Miami is finding ways to win, and yeah, they're number 3.
Yeah.
And then you have Indiana, who's finally snuck into the top 10 after all this time. So,
If you're giving Miami that respect, you have to give Indiana the same respect, in my opinion.
100%. You have to let them prove it otherwise.
And hopefully, I mean, again, this first ranking doesn't matter. This is literally they're going to have a college football playoff ranking show. It's literally for views on ESPN, like this whole thing. But it doesn't matter. There's no point of even doing it this early because again, Tennessee plays Georgia still. Georgia plays Ole Miss. Yeah. LSU plays Alabama. Texas plays Texas A&M. There's still going to be games that are going to decide these things.
Huge implications.
But I mean, it is fun to talk about, and that's why they do it. They do it for viewership on ESPN and then talking points, which it's great.
So here's a question for you then. Speaking of undefeateds, where do you put Army?
You don't?
You don't?
No.
Like you just assume that they're eventually going to lose?
Yeah. I mean, okay. Let's put it this way. You put them at like 15. If they go beat Notre Dame, they're in.
Yeah.
Because they'll take Notre Dame's spot. Let's put it that way. They'll take the 10 spot. Or 11 spot. We put them at 11.
Yeah, because they would have to get number 11 because they want, well.
I got SMU. We got SMU at 10. That's why I didn't put them at 10.
See, that's where it gets interesting though too because it would either have to be them or Notre Dame. Man, that would be wild though.
Yeah,
like if they went out though.
Yeah.
Would you put? Well, let me give you this then. Would you put them above Boise State
with the win against Notre Dame? Yes.
Like if they go undefeated.
Yeah.
Because Boise State has the one loss. What conference are they? Is that the Atlantic?
The American
Athletic or whatever.
American Athletic, I believe. Yeah. I think you got to put them over Boise, but
because I'm just wondering, like, if that's what turns out to be the 12 seed, like the difference, like if that's how like the committee spins it.
But they don't have to. But they don't have to use like they don't have to spin that as the 12 seed. They can put both in.
I understand
both teams
that,
can get
but
in.
if we're talking about ratings and we're looking at money, like is Army or Boise State going to make more money than Notre Dame or Alabama or you know what I mean? Like
for sure, but the reason these playoffs were pretty much set is to reward teams like that for going undefeated. I mean, look at Florida State. Like you can't with 4 teams. Okay, maybe there's a case to be made. Florida State didn't get in even though they went undefeated. With 12 teams, you can't do that.
Yeah.
Especially when every other team in the country has losses. And again, it's not like they went out and they didn't have like a marquee win on their schedule. Like winning against Notre Dame is a marquee win.
Yeah, because I mean,
whereas Boise State, where's their marquee win?
No, I agree.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, like their marquee win is just like winning their conference championship.
Their best win is a loss. Their best argument is a loss to Oregon.
Yeah. Because I'm looking at their schedule because, I mean, like their schedule's been abysmal.
Who?
Army.
Oh, for sure.
And so, like.
That's why they don't have any respect.
So it comes down to Notre Dame.
Yes.
So, because, I mean, it's kind of like what we talked about with Liberty, like Liberty being that 12th team or whatever, or that 5th conference champion, which obviously they haven't turned out the way that we thought they would. But, I don't know. I just think I do agree with that, though. You put them at 15 or somewhere around there where at least like
have them hanging by.
Yeah, if they do find a way to somehow beat Notre Dame, then okay, now you're in the conversation.
Yep.
Now we know like okay, you're actually a legit team.
Yeah, have them hanging on somewhere.
But based on the way the Navy played Notre Dame, I wouldn't count on it.
No, not at all. And again, if that happens, then see ya. You're not in.
Man, it would just be cool to like have like an armed forces school and make the playoff, dude.
That would be really cool.
Be like when old what's his name?
Roger Staubach.
Roger Staubach won the Heisman and national championship back in 1960, dude. Like
God. 90 years ago. No, but no, it's a good conversation to have, and again, everything will shake up for themselves. But I thought it'd be fun to have an at face value
Yeah, there you go. That's an exclusive right there, dude.
That's
Like,
right, dude.
you might as well just lock it in right now.
Dude, that's what it's going to be on Tuesday, man. They're going to play this audio in the ballroom in that hotel in Dallas.
on ESPN.
Yeah, dude. That's what we do.
I think we should do like a live show where we like,
Yeah.
all right, check.
Yeah.
Check.
Yeah. Got it.
No, and have like a 3-hour show because that's probably how long that ESPN thing's gonna be.
Oh, they're
Just
dragging it
picking
out
their
for
12
sure.
teams.
They're
Like,
going to drag it.
dude, that reminds me of whenever LeBron did his decision to go to Miami. Dude, like they made an entire hour-long special for him to say that he was going to Miami.
Dude, but honestly, the rankings coming out, the first rankings, that's going to be the biggest deal on Tuesday.
Oh, for sure. Yeah,
Like it's going to be bigger than anything going on
it's
on
gonna
Tuesday.
beat out Maction.
I mean, dude, there's nothing else going on November 5th.
No, nothing else.
Yeah, dude, it's going to be the biggest event for sure.
Yeah, there's definitely nothing else that people will be watching
Nah.
at that point.
They're going to be tuned in to freaking ESPN for sure. Why else would you?
Dude, honestly, like
What else would you watch, dude? Like,
apparently it's gonna take 4 days to decide a winner
yep,
anyways.
that's
so
right.
just-
I mean, true.
might as well just watch a little bit of football and just see the 12 teams.
Yeah,
See who the real winners are in all this.
absolutely. What if this is not politics are not part of this podcast, but what if they decided the presidency from a group of 12 people in a ballroom? That'd be nutty.
Gosh, dude. Let's just look at the full body of work
Yeah,
right here. And we'll
Do
just,
they pass the eye test? I don't know.
oh,
That hair is not working well for me.
that's right. Yeah, you were our next person in. That's
Yeah. Yeah.
you're the
Last
Florida.
out.
You're the Florida state of the
Yeah.
presidential election.
God. Bernie.
Oh, that's crazy, man. You feel the burn, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
But
freaking
no. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun to keep up with him. Obviously, we'll touch on it next week for sure. But
Yeah, it'd be cool to break down the first rankings and see. Well, especially like they're gonna do the 12, and then immediately like we may see a shakeup like with Georgia going to Ole Miss. So
I mean, Georgia going. We're gonna pick that game in a minute. But like, if LSU beats Alabama, do they get in to the 12?
that's what I mean. Like, yeah, like it could change everything.
I mean,
immediately.
And who knows? Those people could put Bama in the top 12. You know, I mean, because isn't Alabama like number 11 in the AP? They're 11.
12, I think.
I thought they were 11 in the AP.
They're like 12 or 13, I think.
Are you sure?
They're
They're 11.
Wow, they are 11. That's crazy.
And LSU's 14. Again, disrespecting SMU.
That's wild. Dude.
Yeah, dude. Like, that's what the AP again, like we mentioned, like it's literally like beat writers from across the country that are just putting in these votes based on logos.
Well, and dude, and kind of going to like.
Or if you hate this school.
But like also like Texas went to Vanderbilt, who'd been playing really well. They beat Vanderbilt, a ranked team on the road, and they drop a ranking. And then Georgia at home struggles against a mediocre Florida team.
Yeah.
And they don't drop. And Florida and Ohio State wins a road game against the number 3 team in the nation. Like why is Ohio State not number 2 right now?
Because it's based off of beat writers across the country
that's what
that
I'm
don't
saying,
watch
though,
these
like-
games. They literally just put in their ballots, send it in, and then they tally up all the ballots and they average it out, and that's where it goes.
God, dude.
That's what the AP poll is.
I know like it's a problem like having 12 people choose who it is, but like I feel like it might almost be a bigger problem if you let a computer do it. Because like,
But this isn't a computer. This is like journalists across the country.
that's what I'm saying though. So like we have our journalists that are the ones that are making the polls or whatever. I'm talking about the playoff poll too. Like so like you have a committee that's like putting it together. But I feel like if you go by straight like computer, like
You think it'd be better or worse?
I feel like it would be not worse, but like I don't know if it'd be better.
I mean,
Like
I think it would be less subjective
I mean
because a computer can input data and statistics of every single game across the entire country. 12 people aren't watching every single snap of every single game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's just it's just impossible to do that. And again, I feel like the BCS had a decent, like the BCS was not great just because there was only 2 teams.
Right.
But the BCS at least used both.
Yeah.
It used some computer, some subjective data from the eye test or whatever, and that's how they calculate it. And that's how it probably should be. And I'm pretty sure the people in the room, they have computers running like data on games, and
for sure.
they have numbers that FPI spits out, like all that stuff.
Right.
You know, I'm sure they're using some of that too. I mean, if they're not, that's negligent. But
Yeah, you hope they are anyways.
yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I don't know, man, but somebody's gonna get left out that's gonna be upset at the end of the season regardless. So
With all the shakeups that are going on, there's going to be somebody on the bubble that's going to be pissed.
yeah, but I mean, it's parody, dude.
It is parody, but it's also like if you take care of business, it wouldn't be like a thing.
If you win the games
you
you're
win,
supposed to, it doesn't matter.
Yep, you're going to be in. Like, take care of business and you're in.
Yep,
Like, if you're on the bubble, like, you're on the bubble for a reason.
for sure.
Like, don't give them the opportunity to put you on the bubble.
Yeah,
is what I'm saying.
Yeah, just win and you're in. That's all you got to do.
Unless you're Florida State, you win and you don't get in.
Yeah. Yep.
So there's
both sides of the coin.
Yeah.
So yeah,
So that would be like, oh, Indiana wins out, and they're like, nope, you're not getting in. Your quarterback got hurt.
But that's also where it comes down.
If Indiana's quarterback gets hurt, if Indiana wins out and goes undefeated, they're playing. Who are they playing this week? They're playing a big matchup this week.
I don't think this week, are they?
I think so.
Oh, they got Michigan at home.
Not a huge. If you look at the logo, it's a big matchup. They're playing Michigan this week, and then if they beat Michigan, they beat Ohio State, they beat Purdue, and they don't put them in. That, like, say their quarterback and their second string gets hurt in the Big Ten championship game, but they still eke it out. Are they gonna be like, nope, you're 13?
Well, it depends on how they do in the. Well, man. Because technically, if they win that one, like, they're in the top 30.
I guess that's a good point.
So even if you lose your conference championship, like, you're not going to drop from 3 to 13. You shouldn't.
If they lose their quarterback, there's an argument to be made. If they're going off based off what last year, if they lose in the championship game.
Let's just hope that doesn't happen.
No, I agree. Let's hope that shouldn't happen. But the problem is the committee set a precedence for that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's always going to be in the back of people's minds.
And that's a problem.
All it takes is one bad injury to take everything.
Yeah,
so.
they set that precedence last year.
Yeah. If they do, we're going to go throw bottles on the field so that they will reconvene.
Yes.
And change their minds.
I'm down. For the Hoosiers, baby.
That's right. We are all Indiana.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Unless it's like LSU's at 13 and then it's like, oh, well, yeah, you can drop Indiana out. So
I mean, for sure. But no, speaking of LSU, let's get into our pick'em.
Yeah, let's do it, dude.
So decent slate coming up this week. There's some pretty good matchups. We'll start in the crazy Big 12. BYU is going to Utah. BYU are 4.5-point favorites. Utah playing at Utah is a crazy difficult thing. Altitude, all that stuff. But BYU, they play in altitude as well, so it's going to be an interesting matchup. They're road favorites. Who you got?
Yeah, I mean, I think it kind of evens out just because they're both in Utah. So, I mean, BYU's coming off a bye. I think Utah is too, actually. So, yeah, both coming off a bye this week. So, I think BYU's going to win this one. I mean, Utah, like with Cam Rising being out and everything, like, it's just they've just kind of really fallen off, and might just get Cam Rising's 8th year next year. So, I think Utah's going to end up winning this one.
You got Utah?
Yeah.
Really?
I mean, my bad. I got BYU.
Okay.
BYU.
I was gonna say. I was gonna say, dude. Keep it there. Yeah. No, I got BYU too. Again, with Cam Rising out, that's a huge loss. He's out for the season. So I think BYU goes and takes care of business. But the way things have been going, Utah will probably win. So
yeah, that'd be about right. But
yeah,
dude, like Utah, like they're just not the same team without Cam Rising. Like
big drop off.
Like their defense has helped them, but like they cannot score points. Like, it's been bad. So
and again, they have that big advantage playing at altitude, but BYU does the same. So
when you're in the same state, it kind of evens itself out. So
yeah,
but yeah, so both got BYU on that one. Our next one is, and this is a big one for the Big 12. We kind of talked about them earlier, but Colorado, they're 3-point favorites going down to Lubbock to Texas Tech. What do you think?
I don't trust Colorado, but I mean, how can you trust Texas Tech? Like the
Yeah.
way they've been up and down. Like they get up one week and beat Iowa State and then lose to Baylor. I just don't. You just don't know what Texas Tech you're going to get. Colorado has at least been a little consistent. I'm going to go ahead and take Colorado to go to Tech and win. Again, it's Big 12, so probably Tech will win just because you just don't know. It's a coin flip, but I'm going to go Colorado just because they've been a little bit more consistent and Texas Tech has been up and down.
Yeah, I got a good feeling this is going to be a very high-scoring game. I'm going to take Tech at home, dude. I think that they do a good job of getting up for games like this, and I think that they're going to be ready and kind of get themselves back on the map and get themselves back in the picture for the Big 12 race with only a few games left. And so I think that they'll, especially with the ranked team coming to town, I think that they're going to have a lot of motivation. So I think that they're going to pull that one off. So
I am another thing too is for me picking Colorado a letdown spot for Tech after that big win against Iowa State.
For sure.
So that's another reason I'm kind of leaning Colorado, and I believe Colorado is coming off a bye.
Yeah.
So that's they have 2 weeks to prepare. Yeah, but again, flip a coin. It's a Big 12.
I think it'd be a lot of points scored for sure.
I think so too. Next game, the two teams that could be South Carolina goes to Vandy, and they have South Carolina as a 3.5-point road favorite.
Man, like this is another tough one, dude. Just because, I'm gonna take Vanderbilt at home, just because Vanderbilt's back in the rankings again, back to number 24. Been playing well overall. Played well against Texas, just couldn't find a way to win at the end. Bounce back, go to Auburn. I mean, I know Auburn's not a great team, but still, anytime you go to Auburn, it's a tough place to win. So getting a win there. And then kind of what you said about Tech with a letdown. I mean, I think South Carolina is going to have the same kind of deal, just a big letdown after a huge win over A&M. So I think Vanderbilt's going to take that one.
Yeah, I'm going to go South Carolina on this one. Obviously, big letdown spot for South Carolina. I mean, Vandy, nobody thought they were going to beat Auburn either. Like, nobody thought Vandy was going to do anything, but I think South Carolina's defensive front is just too good. Diego Pavia has been unreal, but I mean, they rely on the running game so much, and I think South Carolina is just too good up front. Their defensive line and their linebackers at front seven is really, really good, and they're playing really well at the right time. I think they did this last year too, where South Carolina ended the season on a super, super big high.
Yeah, they did.
And so I think they're getting into kind of that groove right now, and they're playing their best football right now. I'm going to go South Carolina.
For sure. Should be a good one. So
I agree.
Yeah, I think Pavia will be definitely the difference maker if he's able to run the ball at all.
Yep.
So
Agreed.
then our next one, big one for just playoff implications. We got Alabama 3-point favorites going into Baton Rouge, and I know you're going to be at this game.
Yep.
So
I'm heading to Baton Rouge on Friday morning early.
I have no idea who you're going to pick, but go ahead. So.
Yeah, man. I'm going to pick LSU, but breaking it down a little bit further, it all comes down to, can LSU stop Jalen Milroe? I mean, we saw kind of what Marcel Reed did to LSU's defense while running kind of that read option, and I feel like that's what Bama's going to do a lot of. LSU had 2 weeks to prepare for this, though. That's a big factor. They're both on a bye this week, or were on a bye, but I think LSU at home, it's going to be loud. It's going to be very similar to that Ole Miss game where I think the over-under is like 59.5. I mean,
58.5 right now. Yeah,
I'm going under. I think it's going to be exactly very similar to the Ole Miss game where it's going to be a little bit more of a defensive struggle than you think.
It'll be a few key plays that make the difference.
Yeah, and I just don't trust. I really, really don't trust Alabama's defensive front and their secondary. They've been getting torched on defense. So I think LSU can exploit that, and I think they go in and take the win.
For sure.
And everybody talks, like we mentioned it last week, everybody talks about Brian Kelly can't win the big game. Well, I mean, I think he's like 13 or 14-0 in night home games at Tiger Stadium, including beating Bama a few years ago. Like, he's had some big wins. They beat Ole Miss. Again, I don't see it changing with the crowd being there and it being very loud.
Yeah. No, I agree. I'm going to take LSU too, just because, I mean, I think they have a lot to prove after losing that game to A&M. And I mean, obviously just being a kind of rivalry game here as well. Like, they're obviously going to be up for Bama. And then I know you've said it before. It's just anytime you let Cajuns party all day for a night football game, like that stadium is going to be absolutely berserk. So
if this was a 2:30 kick or if this was an 11 a.m. kick, I would have my reservations.
Yeah.
I'd still pick LSU because I'm a homer. But with it being a night game, it's going to be tough for Alabama for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think Milrose he's going the wrong direction as far as quarterback play. I think he's really been on the decline recently, so I think it's going to be pretty tough for him. So,
I mean, who did they play last weekend?
I think they were on a bye too.
No, not yesterday. Last weekend.
Oh, last weekend they shut out Missouri.
Was it Mizzou?
Yeah, and they lost to Tennessee the week before that.
Yeah, it was a Tennessee game where Milroe looked awful.
Yeah. Like, he didn't even look great against Missouri. Missouri was just so bad.
I agree. He was missing like Ryan Williams. Like if he had somebody to throw the ball to him, man.
Yeah, that guy would be unstoppable.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, he's already unstoppable. He just can't get the ball.
Yeah. But no, last game, which is another big playoff implication here. Georgia, 3-point road favorites going to Ole Miss. Who you got?
Man, I'm really torn on this one. I'm going to take Georgia just because when you talk about coaches in big games, like Lane Kiffin always seems to struggle in big games too. Like, if you just look at like getting the big win and making the impact, like he's always been a coach that's never been able to just get that win that he needs to vault his team to the next level. So, I mean, I know Georgia. I mean, I feel like that's probably also partially why Georgia struggled against Florida yesterday, is because they were getting ready for the Ole Miss game. And then I know also too that, you know, Georgia has their struggles on the road, but you know, being a 2:30 kickoff, and I think Georgia's going to be able to go in and take care of business on that one. So I'm going to take them.
Yeah, I'm going opposite. I think Lane gets the win. I think Ole Miss is playing really good right now. Obviously, what they did to Arkansas, which again, that's not an awful front seven either.
No, not at all.
They have a pretty dang good defense. And Carson Beck, the last 2 games, has been picked off 3 times in each game.
Dang.
If he does that again, you can do that against Florida, and the 3rd-string quarterback can come out with a win. But if you do that against Ole Miss, like, good luck, because you're like Ole Miss is going to put up points. I think.
Oh, for sure.
Even against Georgia's defense, I think Ole Miss gets it done, and I think the wrong team's favored in this game.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely close. Like, I'm actually
Carson Beck he's looked god awful.
I do wonder if the spread will go down over time to where it almost becomes like a pick 'em by the time it's game time.
Yeah.
Oh,
I wouldn't be surprised if the LSU game happens too.
Yeah, it just kind of starts.
Yeah.
I'm really surprised, honestly. Alabama's favored in that game.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know. Vegas always has a plan, dude.
I mean, they do. But I mean, Ole Miss were what, 3.5-point favorites coming to LSU.
Yeah.
LSU wins. I mean,
yeah, for sure. So I don't know, man, but it should be a good one. I'm just interested to see. It really depends on which Georgia team shows up.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And then which Ole Miss team really shows up too, because
agreed.
I mean, like,
speaking of good front sevens, man, Ole Miss's front seven is legit.
I was gonna say, like, yeah, like they're up there. I mean, they also spent a ton on their NIL money to booster their
absolutely
their roster. So I mean, they definitely have the talent to beat Georgia. Now it comes down to whether they will or not. So.
Yeah, I mean, turns out it comes down to what happens on the field.
Yeah, crazy.
No, yeah.
So.
And I'm going to be straight up honest. I'm probably not going to be watching a lot of these games next weekend.
Well, I'm sure you'll be following while you're in the parking lot. I mean,
Maybe.
yeah.
I don't know what I'm going to be doing.
Do y'all have like a bunch of chants and stuff y'all do?
Not really.
Nah, just kind of
Just drink a lot and
just get
eat
yourself,
a lot.
Just get yourself ready. Just
Yeah, we should drink and it's crazy too. Like you don't have to bring anything. Like you just show up to places and they'll literally just hand you beers.
yeah, just find people to hang out with.
Yeah.
And just roll.
Well, I have family there too, so they have a bunch of places to go for tailgates.
There you go.
Yeah, every time we go, they have this thing called Beer Fest at the tailgate we usually go to, and like everybody brings like a bunch of like different beers from all over.
Really?
And we just all drink them.
Like, sounds like a good time.
What they do, like, there's probably like a list of like 30 or 40 beers.
Oh my!
Like different types of beers, and we have these like little Dixie cups, and they go down the list and they say this beer is from Texas, brewed at, and then we pass down the 6-pack. We pour like a good chunk in that Dixie cup, and you wouldn't think, you're like, it's a freaking Dixie cup, but if you do 30 or 40 of those little Dixie cups of beers, and like a lot of the beers are like IPAs
in a
like
very short amount of time,
8%, and we're doing this in like an hour span. We're like, by the end of it, you're like, Jesus Christ, what just happened?
Yeah, dude, you're doing like a power hour, like
for sure. And this is like we typically do it like 3 or 4 hours before kickoff. So we get there at like 8:00 in the morning, start drinking,
man.
And so it's pretty.
That's awesome. Is Ross going?
Nah.
Oh man.
Nah.
I figured he'd be there for sure.
It's just the fam. The fam's going, and
that'll be good.
Yeah, it should be fun.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
But speaking of our podcast, we moved back a night while Lucas comes back probably on Sunday and recovers. So.
I mean, I got to drive 5.5 hours back, so hopefully I'm sobered up a little bit. Typically during this weekend is the fallback, right, where the time changes.
Yeah.
So I get an extra hour of sleep. Well, that already happened.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to be getting that.
Week.
I'm not going to be getting that. So it might be a struggle bus coming back.
And dude, I was hoping so bad they would leave it like this. They wouldn't change the time anymore. But
dude, I know. I love it, dude. I love this.
I love it. Well, I used to, and then I had kids, and now
dude, this is great. My kids go to bed earlier. It feels like, or they go to bed like it feels like the same time, but it's earlier.
Yeah,
it's great.
No, not for me.
I like it.
Well, I mean, I told you this morning. My kids were up at 5:30. They were apparently watching Killer Clowns outside of our house.
No, my kids woke up at like 6:55 this morning.
God, dude,
it was awesome.
See, they understood the assignment.
They did. They got that extra hour and took it and ran, dude. And then they were in bed by like 6:30, 7 o'clock tonight.
Oh, golden, dude.
It was awesome. Because they thought it was super dark. They're like, I had to go to bed.
Yeah, it's bedtime.
Yeah, it's great.
Shoot, my son, he's like, we still play baseball? I'm like, dude, there's literally no sun out there. He like sees the reflection of the light in the window. He's like, there's still sun. I'm like, no, there's not.
Yeah.
Oh, man. But no, so it should be another good weekend. So, I mean, dude, we just got to stop saying it's going to be a boring weekend because every time we've said that, it's ended up being
crazy.
Insane.
So. Upsets galore, man. It's great.
But that's been the theme of the season, which has been awesome. So, a lot of stuff still coming up. There's still going to be a lot of college football, a lot of NFL, Premier League. I mean, really, it's just not baseball. We'll try to get guys on here that know a little bit more about like NBA, NHL, stuff like that. I mean, like,
yeah,
we follow very little, not enough to where we could entertain anybody.
Nope.
So we just cover what. I mean, I don't even know how much we really know about all this, but we try our best. So
yeah, that's right.
It's at face value, nothing more, nothing less. Yeah. So
TikTok will let us know for sure.
That's right. But yeah, man. So
it was a good one.
Yep. We appreciate everybody listening. I think our audio did a lot better this week. So, but y'all let us know. Just continue to follow, subscribe, share, tell your friends, like it. Just keep listening. I mean, we don't ask anything more than that. Just keep listening, keep sharing, keep participating in the picks. Everybody's been doing pretty good on that. We'll try to give another update next week as far as the pick'ems and everything. Because I know it's real tight at the top right now as far as who's up there. So it's going to be a good race all the way down to the end because especially with only 5 games, there's a lot of movement that can happen in the standings. So just keep following along, listening, sharing. Follow all of our social media. We're on Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok. We try to post as much as we can, so just keep interacting with all that stuff. And then if you ever want to be a guest, just shout out at us. If you know something about NBA, come be a guest on the show. If you know NHL, come be a guest on the show. We'd be more than happy to go along with that and get it rolling. So, but other than that, we appreciate y'all listening, and we'll see you next week.
See ya.